Welcome to the yoga method and your Vinyasa full body practice for today. Come and join us on your mat as soon as you're ready. No props needed. And this class will cover all of the essential components for an everyday practice. So come and join me at the top of the mat as soon as you're ready. Big toes touching, closing down our eyes, dropping into the awareness of our bodies and our breath. And just realizing yoga is a mindfulness practice, and mindfulness simply means noticing. You're noticing how your feet feel on your mat. You're noticing the smoothness, the warmth of your breath. And you're noticing how your body is feeling as you breathe mindfully into this moment. When you're ready, please release your hands, opening your eyes, and let's circle and sweep our arms high as we breathe in. On our exhalation, ease our way into our forward fold, releasing our head and shoulders last as we look to our knees. On your in-breath, either hands to shins or fingertips to floor, flat back extension. Before we ground the hands so we can step the left leg way back. Knee is above the ankle, charging through your back leg, lifting through your heart as you take 2 breaths. One more breath in and out. We're pivoting through the back foot so the heels are aligning, and now we're lengthening through our right leg any amount that feels good to our bodies. Drawing back through the right hip, lifting upwards through the abdominals. And then please take your hand to your thigh or your shin as you roll your way into your version of triangle pose. So bend your right knee as much as you need. Be powerful in your feet, your legs, your core, and only gazing skywards if your neck and your balance will allow. Just one more breath in. On the exhalation, looking at your right big toe, bend your right knee over your ankle and rise to a warrior 2 with your palms facing skywards. Reaching energetically through the arms, sinking into the strength of the legs. 2 more breaths. One more breath in before landing your right hand as you breathe out. We're pivoting into a lunge, so take your time. That can feel a little awkward. And once you feel like your pelvis is level and you're stable, reach both hands away before breathing them high above you. Steady yourself as you take a breath in. And on the exhalation, if your body will allow, lower a little or maybe all the way to the earth before rising up again. Exhaling to lower. Inhale to pause and lift. And on this last exhalation, stay here, please. Hands to the thighs, we shift the weight forward and then loop your left hand into the curve of your lower back. Press forward with the right hand and use the left hand to support you into a back bend. Tuck your tailbone, lift dynamically and deliberately through the core. And please engage your left glutes to stabilize the pelvis more. One more full breath in and out. On the inhalation, neutralize before we bring the hands to the inside of the foot. If the floor is feeling a little bit far away, use your tip fingers. If we can ground flat into the palms of the hands, we do. Hugging the knee towards the shoulder as we lengthen for 2 more breaths. One more breath in this modified lizard before we lift the back leg and we'll walk to the long edge of the mat. A breath in to lift the head, to lift the heart. On your exhalation, easing your way into a wide leg forward fold, catching your calves, your Achilles, your heels. Bend your knees as much as you need, but we all need to maintain the lift of the pelvic floor and the strength of the abdominals. Last 2. Just one more breath in and out. On the in-breath, press into the earth with your hands right underneath your shoulders, and then pivot towards the other end of your mat. We're moving into a three-legged down dog. So keeping the pelvis level, gazing at your right big toe. You're welcome to stay here, or on your next inhalation, float forward into a plank, and on the exhalation, lowering through your chaturanga. You'll take a baby cobra or an upward facing dog before we all meet in downward facing dog. Spread the fingers, spread the toes as you gaze between your feet. And on your inhalation, to the tips of your toes, bend your knees, look at the back of the mat, left foot between your hands. Once you've arrived there, just charge your back leg. Find length through the spine and a little lightness through the heart. One more breath before you pivot through your back heel, lining up your heels before lengthening any amount into your left leg. Could you draw your left hip back? Slide your shoulders away from your ears. And when you decide you're ready, moving into Trikonasana, please. Powerful feet, legs, and core, only gazing upwards if your balance will allow. Last two. One more full breath in. And on the exhalation, bending the knee. It's a warrior two you're moving to with your palms facing skywards. So hip and knee alignment. Powerful through the right back leg. Taking one more full breath in. And on the exhalation, grounding the hand before we pivot towards the back of the mat. Once you feel stable and level, both hands rise high as the breath floods in. And on your exhalation, lower any amount. Inhale to rise with control. Exhaling to descend any amount. One more time to lift. And on this last exhalation, we all land on the earth. Take your left hand to your thigh, right hand into the curve of the lower back. We tuck the tailbone first. We engage the core as we shift the weight forward. And then to open through the hip flexor and the front body more, we create a gentle back bend on top of the foundation of the abdominals and the right glutes, stabilizing. One more breath. And on your next inhalation, neutralize your spine. Exhale to land your fingertips or your palms on the earth in a modified lizard. Stay for a breath before picking up through the back leg and pivoting once again to the long edge of the mat. Lift your heads, lift your hearts. This time spin your fingertips and walk your hands through towards the other side of your mat. Keeping the palms on the earth or lifting the hands and reaching dynamically. Powerful foundation in the legs and the core. Mindfully noticing your breath. Taking one more as you are. We need to ground the hands underneath the shoulders, lift the head, pivoting towards the top of the mat and heading into your three-legged downward facing dog. Pelvis is level, everything is powerful. Stay as you are here, or on your next in-breath, shift forward to high plank, exhaling to lower with control, and then opening into your back bend of choice before we all meet in downward facing dog. One last time through our flow as we add a few more little bits and pieces. So please lift to the tips of the toes as you breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees, look at the top of the mat. Right foot between your hands. Pausing here just for a breath before pivoting the back heel and lengthening through your right leg any amount. As soon as you're ready, rolling into Trikonasana. One more deep, beautiful breath in and out. Bending the knee, rising to your warrior two, reaching dynamically through the arms for one more breath. We're going to ground the right hand, lift the left heel, and pivot towards the top of the mat, pelvis level. And as soon as we're ready, arms reach high. A breath in, a breath out to gently lower. One more time to rise. And on the exhalation, find the earth. Right hand, right thigh, left hand curve the back. So repeating variation one. Option two, you'll decide whether you could catch your left ankle with your left hand. Square the shoulders, square the pelvis. And then the third and final option is to take right hand as well towards the left foot. To the best of our ability, we're stacking shoulders above the pelvis. We're tucking the tailbone, energizing the left glutes, and lifting through the pelvic floor as we draw the navel gently in. Last two breaths. One more breath, please, before gently releasing whatever option you took and grounding the hands to the inside of your foot. Lift through the back leg, pivot to the long edge of the mat. Take a moment to lift your heads and hearts before you turn your toes out and bend your knees deeply, hands coming to your thigh. Please drop onto your right forearm, left hand on the inner seam, and create rotation, gazing over your right shoulder as you create a really beautiful adductor inner thigh stretch while strengthening at the same time. One more breath here. Come to the other side, land the left forearm, right hand to the inner seam of the right leg, pressing open with both the forearm and the hand, spiraling to look over your left shoulder for 3 breaths. One more breath in, and on the exhalation, return to the midline before pouring yourself in. So slightly pigeon toe your feet, lift your head and hearts, but then walk your hands towards your left foot. Right hand will catch your left calf. Draw yourself in. And if you feel safe, second arm comes to join the right on the calf or a little bit lower. Once again, creating rotation through the spine, but we're endeavoring to keep the pelvis as level as possible, looking down or looking over your left shoulder for 2 more breaths. One more, please. When you're ready, gazing down, if you're not already, lift through the heart, right hand down, pivot towards the back of your mat, and then see if you can draw your right leg all the way through and just stay here for 2 breaths, hovering above the earth. One more breath, please, before gently, gently landing. Once you've landed, please open your left leg into Janu Shashasana A. So your left foot is above the knee, and we're encouraging the left knee wide. So please take your right hand to your left ankle, and then I'd like for you to slide your left arm down towards your pinky toe. So it might be resting at the knee, the calf, the Achilles, or you might find that pinky toe. Just taking a moment to create rotation on top of flexion, and then simply notice the sensation. How mindful can you be as you take one more deep breath in and out. On the in-breath, we'll lift. On the exhalation, we'll release. And we're twisting towards the back. So energizing through your right foot, right hand to your left knee, and left arm supporting you as you take spinal rotation. Just one more deep, beautiful breath. before we reach up and over into a side bend. So maintain rotation before you move into lateral flexion, a side bend. Reawaken through your right foot, your right quadriceps. Last 3. On your next in-breath, reach high, grounding through your left hand, point your right toes, and ease your way up and over into a modified wild thing. Gazing down to your left hand or the palm of your right, opening dynamically from fingertip to toe for one more deep breath in before you gently, slowly ease your way down. Once you've arrived, ground into the 4 corners of your left foot and lifting tall and straight and strong through the torso line. Just stay for 1 breath as you lean back, and only if your body will allow on your in-breath, lifting through your right leg, exhaling to lower. Little check of your posture. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Just 2 more. Full breath in, full breath out. 1 more, please. Inhale up and exhaling down. The fun part begins. We're going to ground our hands past the hip and see if you can get back to your wide leg forward fold. So lift the pelvis first, slide your way through, and then easing your way into your wide leg forward fold. Nothing to it. When you're ready, please take a breath in to lift your heads, your hearts. And once you've arrived there safely, we're turning the toes out and we're rising up for a moment before releasing the hands to the thigh. We need to just gently drop through our left forearm, coming into that little bit of rotation to our left, gazing over our left shoulder for 2 breaths. 1 more, please. Up and over, we go to the other side. So right forearm before we gently open through the inner seam for 3 breaths. For 2. 1 more full breath in and out. Return to your midline. Hands down, hips high. Turn the toes. We need to pivot towards the back of the mat to start this whole sequence again. So when you're ready, we're pivoting through the back leg. We're lengthening through our left leg. So right heel grounded, heel to heel alignment before we move into Trikonasana, please. Pelvis stable, top hip rolling back, shoulders stacking for 2 more breaths. One more deep breath in before you bend your knee deeply and rise to your warrior 2 with your palms facing skywards. So descending into the legs, relaxing through your shoulders, but be energized to the tips of your fingers for 1 more breath. On the exhalation, ground the left hand, pivot towards the back of the mat, stabilize the hips before reaching both arms forward and then up. A breath in prepares us before we exhale to lower. Inhale to rise any amount. Exhaling to descend. 1 more time to rise. And as we slowly lower all the way to the earth, left hand will find left thigh, right hand to the curve of the lower back. As we move into our hip opener, variation 2, maybe right hand could find right ankle. We then square the pelvis, tuck the tailbone, and stack the shoulders. And that final option of trying to take left hand towards the right foot as well. Steady your eyes. Find your length. Notice the sensation. And mindfully breathe for 2. 1 more full deep breath in before gently releasing both hands to the inside of the foot for lizard. Just 1 breath before we power the back leg and ease our way to the long edge of the mat. On your in-breath, lift your heads, your hearts. On the exhalation, turn your toes out and bend your knees. This time, ground your left forearm, reach your right arm high, and take a gentle side bend. Roll open for 2. Over we go to the other side. Right forearm supports us. Left forearm up and over. Opening left side body for 2. And for 1. Return to the midline, hands to your thighs before finding the earth. Slightly pigeon toe your feet. And now we're walking the hands towards the right foot. Catch the right calf with the right hand. Snuggle yourselves in. And then see if the left hand could also come across. Gazing down or gazing over your right shoulder for 2 more breaths. When you're ready, looking down, left hand towards the right foot. We begin to pivot, and you're sliding through with your left leg. Once you're through, just see if you could stay for 2 breaths. Quadriceps working, 1 more breath before we gently land. As soon as you're landed, just turning your right knee open. Janu Shasana A, left toes alive. Left hand to right ankle and right hand to the knee, the calf, the Achilles, or the pinky toe. Gently, gently easing your way in any amount that the body will allow. Where do you notice the sensation? How mindful can you be as you breathe into what you're feeling? Nurturing your body with your awareness and your breath for 2 more. When you're ready, lift on the inhalation, sit tall on the exhalation, and now creating rotation with your left hand, finding your right knee, right hand behind you as you spiral to look over your right shoulder. Stay as you are or reaching up and over, adding a little bit of side bending on top of the rotation. Just 2 more. One more breath as you breathe into that beautiful sensation. Before we lift up on the inhalation, release on the exhalation. Point your left toe, ground into your right hand and your right knee. Lift and open through left side body, gazing down at your right hand or the palm of your left. One more breath in before you gently, slowly ease your way down. Once you've arrived, ground into the 4 corners of your right foot, holding onto your right knee as you lift through the torso line and ease your way back slightly. Inhale to lift, using quadriceps, hip flexor, and core to do the work. Inhale. Exhale to lower. Just 2 more, please. Reset your posture, reset your core. 1 more repetition. Inhale, lift, and exhale to lower. Ready? Hands back towards the long edge of your mat. Lift through the hip and pivot your way all the way through. On your in-breath, lifting head, lifting heart. And on the exhalation, pour yourself in before turning your toes out, bending your knees deeply, and crawling up. Landing with the right forearm, right forearm, left arm up and over. Press your knees to the pinky toe. Tuck your tailbone for 1 more breath before we ease our way over to the other side. So heart rolls open, knees press to pinky toe. Last 2 breaths. 1 more full deep breath in and out, easing your way back towards the earth. Turn your toes in and simply pivot to the top of the mat before you come to child's pose, please. Knees wide, big toes together, right hand threading through, left hand to the top of the mat, or left hand into the curve of your lower back. Pressing down to create a little bit of rotation, but letting go of the effort of standing sequence. One more breath. If you took the half bind, reaching high, grounding into the left hand, unwind and rewind. So landing the wrist, the elbow, maybe your shoulder, maybe your head, right hand to the top of the mat, or lifting high on your in-breath, looping the arm into the lower back or the crease of your hip. Last two. When you're ready, reverse your way out of the shape that you made. And please come to a seated position. So sliding your legs through, give them a tiny little release as you shake out. Reach high as we move into a very gentle restorative forward fold, palms to ceiling. Bend your knees as much as you need. And please just allow your head to release, your eyes to close, and your breath to deepen for 3 more breaths. On your in-breath, lift your heads, your hearts. On your exhalation, sitting tall and coming all the way down onto your back. Once you've arrived there safely, please gather your knees to your heart, separate your knees standing on the ceiling just for a very brief and gentle inversion. Knees above ankles, or other way around, ankles above knees, knees above your armpits. And inviting a gentle rock if it feels good. Just one more breath before pausing in your stillness, bringing your knees back together, opening your arms wide into a cactus shape, so a 90-degree elbow bend, a slight shift of your pelvis to your left as your knees gently, gently journey to the right. Taking any top leg variation that feels best to your body, and steady your eyes high or turning to look to your left for 3 more breaths. Ready. Your eyes will return. You'll restack your knees, using your core to safely come home. A little tiny shift of the pelvis to your right as your knees gently, gently journey to the left, taking any top leg variation that feels best to your body. Gazing skywards or looking to your right. Noticing what feels right in your body. And mindfully breathing into the places that are holding the most sensation. Please return your eyes, restack your knees, return your knees, and just allow your arms to stay as you center your pelvis. Bring the soles of your feet together, closing down your eyes, and just let gravity open the inner seam. A gentle, mindful rock through the pelvis. Before finding stillness. And then let your legs slide long. If your arms feel wonderful where they are, keep them there. If you'd prefer to move them, please do. And just notice once again. Notice the noises around you. Noticing the sensation within the body even when we're laying still. Notice the sound of your breath. And how present can you remain in these last few moments of stillness? Noticing is the gateway into mindfulness. And mindfulness is the key to being present in our lives. And being present in our lives is the key to everything we are seeking. It's already here. You've already found it. It was waiting for you all along. Just waiting for you to notice. Just take 2 more breaths. Staying longer if your day will allow, but beginning to reawaken the body if you are called to do so. Gentle movement through your arms, your legs, your hips, your shoulders. Somehow she always knows. Reach your arms overhead, taking that full body stretch from fingertip to toe. Before bending your knees one at a time, you'll hug yourselves tightly and rock your bodies gently before rolling onto the right-hand side. Before pressing the earth away, rising up into a seated position. Any position that your body will allow. Would you like to come up here? You could just stay there. Grounding into the earth, lengthening through your spine, growing as tall as you can. And then once again, one last time, just notice your body, notice your breath. Be present as we take one last unified breath together, closing our practice with a bow. Namaste. Thank you, beautiful yogis. I hope you have enjoyed this full body practice with all of your everyday essentials. Take care.